welcome all of you. And as we're waiting for folks to arrive to the May meeting of WordPress Web Help, where we gather together as users in various points in our evolution as WordPress users and help each other out. I was starting to say that years ago I was coaxed into the WordPress platform after building handcrafted websites, if you will. You know, I was using Dreamweaver primarily. I resisted the idea of WordPress because I thought it was going to be a cookie cutter thing. Technology was taking over the brain part, and I found that it allowed me to actually focus on clients' needs, clients' interactions more. Dare I say, focus a little bit more on my own promotion, because many of us, we build WordPress, but we may not be letting the world know that we do that, or that we have a business that uses WordPress. Whether or not we announce to the world that our website's on WordPress, the best sites tend to be in that platform for that very reason. Tremendous development community, great product. Occasionally we have issues, which are the same sort of issues that any product or service or organization that is involved with human beings comes across. But considering the fact that it's open source and we never pay a licensing fee, our costs are very low, and so we can spend that time and money on building our business or the business of our client, whatever that may be. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with introductions. And since Ray was the first one to pop in tonight, why don't we start with you? You're new to our group. Tell us who you. I'll put it in the chat, but we usually ask you to tell us who you are, where you are, what it is you do, and why you're here. And like I say, let's start with you, Ray.
Okay, so
We just, by the way, we just take like a minute. You know, it doesn't have to be
okay,
anything lengthy. Go ahead.
right. So I teach people how to give business presentations in English. Most of the people I teach are non-native speakers of English. They could be, I'm in Japan, so many of them are from Japan, but also from places like China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Europe, Latin America. They need to be able to give business presentation that makes sense, is easy for people to understand, that so that they can use ones in which they can use slideshows effectively online, mainly online. And I've been doing that for close to 15 years. Just last year, stopped doing it at a university, retired from the university, but I still teach people as individuals. And so I'm looking to get more clients. And to do that, I need a website, even if it's a brochure website. So that's
Now,
what
were
I'm
you,
doing.
were
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
essentially teaching what you now consult as,
Yes,
or was
exactly.
it?
That's
Okay,
what I was
gotcha.
teaching. I was teaching presentation skills. So mainly in face-to-face, except for the pandemic, face-to-face situations. But now teach online. I'm teaching from Japan to Japanese folks, but I'm not located in a major city, so I teach online. And
Now I'm
the
wondering, because I'm always on the lookout for somebody who's able to give presentations to our group. I'm wondering if there might be a topic that would be of use to our folks, like how to perhaps help clients or ourselves market into Japan, or anything like that. If you ever want an opportunity to speak to a captured group, we're your
I'd be happy.
huckleberry.
I'd be happy to consider that. Except if I finish my introduction, you'll see that that's where I'm. Why I'm coming to you is I don't know anything about building a website. So I have I'm a beginner at WordPress, and I've learned enough by watching a YouTube course to get into trouble, but not enough to have the site that looks the way I want it to work. And so
Okay.
I'm using a template, a downloaded, AI template, and I built a site, got a domain name and that kind of stuff. But I have questions about, what to add, what features to avoid. And that's kind of why I'm here today.
We can definitely touch on that later on, and because vetting, it is a it is a wonderful world, but it's also got a Wild West aspect to it, where if you're not careful, you might end up finding yourself tied into or lured into something that might not have long-term benefit. Because there is no, anybody. You finish a class in computer science and you can go build plugins and, there's not a lot of obstacle to entry. So you find a lot of products. So we can definitely save you some heartache in learning how to vet the products in our world. Were you going to say something, Devin?
Once this is done, it actually covers what Ray's talking about, and that's where we kind of dive into.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, why don't we go on with you then? Well, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Were you done, Ray, with your introduction? Okay. Thank you for that, and then good to have you here. So pick it up from there. Tell us
So I'm
all
Davin,
the usual.
and so what we've been working on is as time has had passed over the last
We
15
being we
years,
being
Daryl, Di, and that's
a
working
is it
together.
still AYD marketing?
We work together. I have my own business, he has his, but we just work together.
Okay.
So what we've been finding is over the last 15 years is the whole market has shifted. And so what we have definitely found is with the AI, specifically, it's and the automation is that it's taking away the small tasks away, and therefore, someone like us coming to doing ads when Google essentially does everything for you now, and there's all the courses that we had to pull a different angle. So what we do now is we help with the foundation to get the people's message out there so people actually respond. Because if someone has a product or a service, what happens half the time is you can't just throw more money at advertising or paid acquisition. That's what we call it. That could be meta ads, it could be LinkedIn, it could be just going to your local chamber of commerce, anything like that. But if you don't have your story, which is what Ray's asking about on your website, your story, your product lined out, how to help someone, and have your buyer's journey lined up, you could throw as much money as you want at paid ads and paid acquisition, but you're not get the results you want.
And of course that's always been the two-edged sword because yeah, Google does, and I haven't worked with Google Ads for a while because I've got you guys on speed dial. But that's the question. Spending money with Google is never an issue. They will always take your money. They will always have defaults set up for you. But the thing is, the defaults are always set up to benefit Google primarily. And I imagine AI has improved that in
It's all,
terms
all
of being able to go ahead.
it's all automated now. You basically
Oh,
put your headlines in, your descriptions in, and then you put it into the mode of what you want, and it does all the magic behind the scenes now for the most part.
yeah, but the
It's going
question is, do we trust it? Because I mean, AI by and large is still a precocious toddler who's brilliant. He's a prodigy, but sometimes you just have to, smack him into compliance because that's one of the things that I always valued about you guys is that, to do it, and we even one of the first presentations that we did with Daryl was how to save. I think the amount we chose, it was somewhat arbitrary, but it was not inaccurate. How to save $2,500 on Google Lead ads because, quite frankly, I mean, I'd have to see it now, but in the past, yeah, they'll have certain defaults and they will streamline the audience definition process and all of that and help you to put out your message. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Do you trust it to make good
Not, but
marketing decisions?
it doesn't matter if we trust or not, but it's being implemented of how they want to do it, and we have to interact with what they give us. And what we definitely have noticed over the last decade is when I first started doing it, before I did digital marketing, I did press washing for 10 years, is that I could put out some pretty mediocre in that time, good material, but now everyone's doing it because so that bar of that level of expertise and storytelling has been pushed up another notch or two. So for everyone to
Sure,
compete to be on the next level, you have to think 2 steps ahead and not 10 years in the past.
absolutely. Well,
And
that's
this
all.
is where we ran into, is that people are now thinking what I did 10 years ago, and I was wildly successful with my business. But now we have to be forced 2 steps ahead of that in order to get people to be like, hey, by the way, you guys are different because they're 10 years in the past and they're not seeing that. They think it's all new, but they just adapted to what 10 years technology.
But I'm always reminded that, at the end of the day, whether it's nowadays or we're talking about marketing back in the 30s, some of the basics still remain. And I'm not sure that AI always does the greatest job of customizing marketing for a particular client and truly, because I mean, our job, in my book, my job is to highlight what makes my client's business special and unique, which means to take whatever pains are necessary to elevate their message above and beyond, or help them niche down
That is
into,
our job.
yeah,
Our job is to
exactly.
strategize, is to take what they want, take the input and strategize it for them. It's not creating the website. It's not creating the ads. It's not doing it. It's strategizing. So we take what they want and it gets delivered the way they want,
Yep, yep. Yeah.
not actually executing and making all the stuff happening.
Hey, I didn't never said welcome to Emily. Emily, you still with us?
Yes, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going around and doing introductions. I put it in the chat. I'll pop it in again. Have you been here before? Your face looks familiar.
I have. Long time ago, I this conversation topic sounds awesome because it actually pertains to my question incoming. And sorry, I'm a bit under the weather, so
Oh,
I'm stuffed up. But I wanted to hear about AI and WordPress because I'm a digital entrepreneur. I build a lot of projects for myself and clients, and wondering from WordPress experts why WordPress in 2026. And so this is a great topic for me to.
gotcha. And that's a perfect segue into, and we're doing our introduction. So let me turn it over to Brendan, who you didn't go to WordCamp this year, right, Brendan?
No.
No, I'm talking Brendan.
I didn't.
No, you
Um,
went to Japan. That was you went to
yeah.
Japan this year. Yeah. But anyway, he's pretty tapped into the WordPress world. So let me turn introduction over to him, and then we'll get to you, Emily, and you can tell us all about who you are and where you are and what it is you do and what brought you here. So, Brendan, take it away, sir.
Good. Yeah. Hi, Brendan O'Connell here. I have been building in WordPress for about 10 years. I've been working at a agency for, I don't know, the last 8 or so. And yeah, building WordPress sites for, I don't know, a couple hundred clients now. I just quit my W-2 job a couple months ago and fully self-employed now. So that's been fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I've been I have a YouTube channel. I make YouTube tutorials on WordPress, and been getting more into AI and automation as well. I've been, yeah, going all in on AI now too, and working a lot
Oh,
with
if I may interject really quick, that reminds me. Feel free, everybody, to put your contact information. All of this stuff, but include, your company name and your website and your phone number and all that sort of thing, in case somebody wants to reach out and contact you. So anyway, sorry,
yeah.
Brendan.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, to Emily's question about why WordPress and what's going on with WordPress and AI. I mean, they're laying the groundwork for what's to come. I mean, it feels like maybe WordPress is moving a little slow. That's always the case with open source projects. But I mean, WordPress 7.0 is around the corner. They're laying the foundation for a lot of what's to come with AI. So we have the abilities API that's come out. We have the AI connectors plugins that are coming out. We can get into more of this discussion later, but yeah,
Sure.
exciting to see what the core team has been baking up. Uh, and I encourage you guys to stay up to date with what the core team is at Automatic is releasing because they're keeping up with you know what the AI
Nice
is
to see that
coming up.
the WordPress ship has somewhat settled from the WP Engine stuff that had a lot of people scratching their heads.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and cool. And is it still under Brendan O'Connell Web Design? What are you calling yourself as an entity?
I have a company called Digital Anchor. I've had that for a couple years, but yeah,
Cool.
I'll paste some links in the chat.
Yeah, please do. Please do. All right. Well, before I go, let's hand it over to Emily, and she can tell us a little bit more about herself and take it away, Emily.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working with WordPress and online tools for about a decade and less with WordPress lately. I've been taking a step into marketing work, SEO work, and executive consulting. So I'm putting my boots back on the ground and starting some of my own projects, trying to find the best tech to do so. And WordPress always has a fond place in my heart. I know how strong the community is. And so, but I have not had my finger on the pulse. And so, when considering all these tools and ways to build, and I've been playing with like Claude and just generating sites out of nothing. And I'm like, I have a bias towards WordPress. I love WordPress. It's a good part of my history, but I just want to hear from the experts about like where are we at today and is it I mean what can I say to myself and my clients about why this is the way to go?
Well, I would say, just as a side comment to that last query about WordPress, I mean, it's still very strong. I checked the statistics. You can go to the W3 from time to time, and they have, all kinds of stats. We live in that kind of world where you can statistic yourself into a froth. And when I check like browser statistics, and that's one of the things that I follow, and also platforms, and also CMSs. When I check the numbers on popularity of CMSs, I'm going to paraphrase badly, and I'm not up to the absolute minute, but pretty close. Um, WordPress still dominates with about 60 to 70% of the CMS. Now, mind you, there's a lot of softwares and a lot of marketing products that include builders. We've had builders for a long time. Everything from GoDaddy giving you a free builder to Wix and Weebly and all the Squarespace and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to popularity, you can't even get near WordPress for all the reasons that I mentioned before. Ton of resources, and it is kind of a ubiquitous product. It is a common language, and still. Having a free tool is no guarantee of having a great site, or having an effective site, especially as the internet dips and whirls and does what it does. It was WordPress is somewhere around 60 to 70. Last I checked, number two CMS was Spotify, and it's down in single digits. So there's nothing that comes close. There's a lot of other ones that purport to help, make it more user friendly, but it's usually at a price. Performance, hidden costs, or maybe even potential hidden costs. Where you get to a certain point in the development of your website and you can't go any further on that particular platform, and that's when the fun begins. With WordPress, if you reach the limits of your particular hosting company or what have you, you can take all of your content is yours. You always own your content with WordPress. With others, and especially as we live in a time when, if somebody objects to something you say, or even something you comment in your social media or something like that, you endanger you can endanger your website. We've seen that happen time and time and time. With WordPress, you own your content. You can move it wherever you want. So anyway, it's great to have you here, Emily. And as far as myself, I always forget to introduce myself. But I am Edward Sanchez. Where is it? Here we go. Jeez. I'm ill prepared. I got to the meeting and we started chatting. Let's see here. Not very professional tonight. Bear with me. Oh, for Pete's sake. All right. Sorry, guys. Guess who? I'm Edward Sanchez. My company is called Brass Ring Web Design. I've been in San Diego since I was a little kid, and been doing business in the web design industry since the late 90s. And I've been specializing in WordPress since 2010 or so. At that time, I was building from scratch websites, and a friend of mine, and you want to pay attention to this, who had a residual income. He'd built up his income through a lot of marketing knowledge to where he was bringing in 5 figures a month without having to lift a finger. And of course, he kept lifting fingers, so that kept going up. And he told me about WordPress, and I rejected it at first because I thought it was cookie cutter, and where's the creativity in that? And I eventually tried it, and I've never looked back, because I have found that the time that I don't have to spend on a lot of I love to build websites, so I do enjoy the design of it. I'm not an illustrator per se, but I've spent my share of time in Illustrator and a lot more in Photoshop and what have you. But it really freed me up to focus more on the business aspect of marketing and helping the client, which for me are usually small companies who don't have the budget or time to do a lot of marketing, or they find the process confusing. And I like to help them kind of raise their game. I grabbed the tag at my WordPress guy years ago. So you can, if you can't remember Brass Ring Web Design, you can always remember my WordPress guy. and whether it's a hashtag or at, that'll always direct you to me. So, anyway, enough about me, and let's get going with you guys. Um, so let's get some topics on the table. Now,
So
Ray, go ahead.
I actually wanted to comment on what Emily was talking about
Sure.
as and about the websites. The biggest thing I've definitely found is the messaging. I ran a pressure washing business for 10 years and I grew it from the ground up. So, and I got burnt by a lot of marketers, all that stuff that I did on my own. And this is what I learned. It's about the story, getting that person to get hooked and relate with you and giving the proof. And proof, I'm going to just be clear on this because some people get confused by what I mean by proof. That's going to be your process. That's going to be your case studies. That's going to be the founder story. That's going to be your what your team accomplished. It can be many more things when someone comes to
What's
you.
your ethos? What is it that drives you? Yeah.
All those things. So when someone comes to you, you're pre-selling them, the person coming in there, because most likely they're going to visit 10 different websites. But when they go to your website, they got to be like, this is a guy I want to actually contact, or this is the person I wanted to contact. And that's what drives a website. It needs to pre-sell because the people like me, I'm not going to go to 5, 10 different websites and book a call with 10 people. I'm going to pick the one or two which drives me in and be like, this person knows because they pre-sold me. I'm going to contact them now.
And I would make the ancillary observation that um, a lot of people don't like to, or maybe believe that that's immodest to speak about yourself in favorable terms, or to, and this I think is, a number I use a lot is that 80% of the websites on the internet are ineffective. They're and every time a new one like that comes on, whether it's AI generated or just generated by a good old GoDaddy web builder, we don't want to just take up more electrons online. And the thing is that my job, I see it a lot of times, and I have a very comprehensive planning process where I draw people out. I ask them questions that they've never, especially with startups. I've had a number of startups where they started on a particular path, and by just asking themselves certain, not really that complicated, because most people, especially if they've been doing a particular job, because a lot of us come into a small business as having been a, call them technician. We've been doing a particular job. We want to do it for ourselves so we get more of the money for ourselves rather than the boss getting it all. And helping people to ascertain, what are their strengths, and what are the benefits. Because when you're reluctant to speak about yourself, I think you end up just giving basic information, taking stock and saying, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. And so a lot of websites end up just being a list of services, and it can be remarkably, expounded as to what those services are. But at the end of the day, we want to think always marketing is not about what it is you do, but what it does for the client. So we think in terms of benefits, we think in terms of pain points, people's pain and pleasure points, although I usually don't use that language with a client. Most your job is to solve a problem. If they had no problems, they wouldn't be talking to us. They'd like to change something. They want to make more money. They want to move into a new market. They want to introduce a new product. They want to, maybe do, if there's somebody who has been targeting individual property managers, maybe they want to get in with a property management organization so they can hit more property managers and more clients. But at the end of the day, it's usually a matter of the bottom line, as ugly as that may sound. You
One
want,
thing I'd like to add to that is
yeah,
risk reduction. So when someone jumps into even goes onto your website or they start connecting with you, you have to reduce the risk for them and come over objections. And that's what the website's supposed to be doing. So they will be like, hey, do you know what? Even if this doesn't work out, do I get a favorable result? If you can get someone, convince someone that, they will go.
and that's a tricky area. That's a tricky area because I mean, even guarantees in our industry are tough to enforce. You know, I mean, there are occasionally somebody who will give a 100 back percent money back guarantee, but you know, as we if we've been doing this for any amount of time, there are people that will take advantage of that.
That's not the angle I was referring to. Like what you can do is what I was looking into is that says if one lead to you is $600 or $1,000, and you were able to close one more lead a month, and you
Sure.
pay me say $600 a month. I'm giving a number here. So at the worst case scenario, you get what you close one more lead a month and you break even, or you save time. Risk reduction. It's not giving a guarantee, but giving them a confidence. Say you hook up a automation for them, or you hook up something for them, so it makes it the whole process easier to save them time. And they look, hey, I'm saving 5 hours, and I can close one more lead a month because my conversion's that much better. That's risk
Well, and
reduction.
you don't want to spend too much time on the one a month because the cogent point that you made there is that once the automation's in place, once you do it, you know, I mean, for my whole life, if I want to do something twice, I make it a template the first time. Because yes, the first time you make that template, it's useful for that one episode. But once you have it in place, it's a huge time saver and it's really easy to convey the concept to a client that, okay, once we have that automation in place, well, isn't it logical, Mr. Client, that if we have a mechanism in place to capture one client, it's going to be able to capture the next one as well, you know, and you're going to have a diminishing cost per client acquisition. So good point on that. Any other thoughts? Brendan, you're probably the most experienced of us here.
I mean, I
No, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, what are your thoughts on? Did we miss anything?
I don't know. I mean, my advice to everyone is move up market. That's what I've been telling people lately. Because I feel like the ground is moving is falling out from a lot of agencies. Not to say that that's what happening to anyone here, but I see it among a lot of my peers. People are chasing lower quality leads. People's clients are vibe coding websites and you got to move up market. And so you have to offer more than just websites now. You have to offer consulting, you have to offer automation, you have to offer AI services to clients, and like what we're talking about, you have to offer consulting services that are going to save people time and money. And so it's more than just here's your website, Mr. Client. So that's the advice I've been telling people lately. It's not enough to just offer websites anymore.
Agreed. That's what we've been focused on. That's why we were doing pay like Google Ads for a while. And then we got to the point where we're doing the strategizing, which is called what you're calling up marketing. Different term, different words, same meaning more or less.
Hey, by the way, Devin, I think it's time to turn up the lights over where you are. You're moving from Devon to silhouette of Devon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now
And the other
you're a very dramatic Quentin Tarantino version of yourself now.
The other thing I'm noticing with Google Ads is the AI overview is just killing clients' Google Ads budget too. I mean, people aren't even clicking onto websites anymore from Google searches, right? So people's Google ad budgets are barely even getting depleted sometimes because the AI overview is just
Yeah.
people are doing searches and just reading the AI overview from Google search and not even clicking on to sites anymore. So again, it's not even. I don't even know if there's going to be a future for website building as much anymore, which is sad, pains me to say. Uh, it's a tough future we're looking at.
I got lured. I got coaxed into the WordPress world by my friend, the five figure a month guy, using the following phrase. He told me that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Because at the time I had no experience whatsoever in WordPress. Now I've got 16 years. But at the time I had zero, and I was really, I was like, well, how can I was charging what I thought was a pretty decent, I was charging like 85 bucks an hour back in 2010. And, I mean, I'm not a money guy. I'm not saving up for my Bugatti or anything like that. So I was fine. But it felt like I couldn't, in good conscience, offer myself as a professional since I had no experience. So, and it was actually until, I built some practice sites over at WordPress.com, blah, blah, blah. Took a course on the old lynda.com, or several courses in WordPress. And by the way, that's something I would send your way, Ray. When they're no longer in existence, there was an educational company called lynda.com, did a great job of presenting all kinds of expertise in the IT sphere. And long story short, LinkedIn bought them. So now they go by the title LinkedIn Learning. But and I haven't been doing using them, but you might want to look into them as a tutorial source, because the thing about YouTube, especially if you're new in the sphere, is that you want to make sure you're learning the right WordPress. WordPress has been around for a lot of years. There's a lot of tutorials. There's a lot of crappy tutorials, and by and large, you can use the ratings on them, and YouTube will sort them for you by popularity, and you can sort by upload time, how recent it was uploaded, how how many you can see how many videos a person has. You can see the kind of, very importantly, what people are kind of ratings, are people giving them the thumbs up or the thumbs down sort of thing. Although they don't tell you now about thumbs down. They used to be able to see if anybody was getting thumbs downs. Now that's, we don't want to do that. That's too unfriendly, I guess, or whatever. But I would definitely consider a few bucks spent. I mean, it used to be like 20, and I hung on to it for a lot of years. Hey, Edward from Brass Ring Web Design, popping in for a sec to tell you how we can help your DIY website project by making your website effective, not just pretty. At Brass Ring, we take a big picture approach to digital marketing, building a strong foundation that drives long-term growth. We use our hub and spoke traffic model. Yes, of course, we design high-performing WordPress websites that serve as your central marketing hub. We also coordinate traffic to it from key platforms like email marketing, SEO, social media, and ads. We align every aspect of your digital presence for lasting success. More than just ad managers, we're your partner, optimizing the entire customer journey to better use your time and marketing investment and deliver lasting value. Training and coaching you along the way means you continue to save DIY money and retain control. And now, back to our meeting. But it used to be like 25 bucks a month, for their premium educational level. And premium meant that because when you would take a class, you would create something. You would do something in WordPress or in Illustrator or in Photoshop, whatever the class I was taking. You would create something. And if you wanted to just refresh, you didn't have a place to start. Whereas, you'd have to start from the beginning and create that file and work on that. But with the premium level, there was the opportunity to have all the files at all the, at every chapter, because they'd have chapters that were very well laid out, which is particularly useful for refreshing. But you could go there and download the file that they had created up until that point in the course and just focus in on that particular thing. Because you don't always need to start, and you can be kind of lost if you don't have a reference point. But that was one thing that Linda did, and I imagine LinkedIn. I never re-upped when they became LinkedIn, but look into that. Anyway,
Say about YouTube videos as someone who makes YouTube tutorials, the probably the best performing YouTube videos are often affiliate shilling scam affiliate schemes basically to sell you hosting or hosting
yeah,
plans or Elementor affiliates or things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at YouTube tutorials, because a lot of them are just trying to, get you to sign up for their affiliate plans.
conversely, and thanks for pointing that out. If you do find someone you trust, like I trust Brendan. We've been talking for a couple of years at least. And if you find a YouTuber that is worthy of trust, then they're going to have, not only are their YouTubes going to be not quite so vague, you know, because I mean, you want to be able to look at the description and get a sense of what you're going in, without having to watch an entire video to figure out what aspect of this are they doing. But the better ones are going to do a better job of their description, especially right now with AI. My descriptions have gotten a hell of a lot better. Like for this meeting, when I used to give very little information. I would give Mike Noter is one of our core members. He's not here tonight, but he has like a news thing that he offers at his Wednesday meetup. And I would like give his contact information. But, since I use the AI companion here, it spits out a generally speaking, got to review it first, summary of this meeting, and I will take that, which arrives like 2 seconds after this meeting's over, take the summary when I'm uploading, when I finally get around to editing the video, because I'm still the slowest link in the chain. I'll enter that and have it turn it into a description, and I will tell it, I will prompt it. I mean, AI is all about the prompts. So I will tell it what I want featured, if there's any particular layout specifications that I have, and how it presents the information. Make sure that Mike's information is near the top, blah, 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 whatever it is. And speaking of news, since we don't have Mike here, I'm wondering if I can, they say, oh, there she is. Hey, we can actually see everybody.
Hi.
Well, you look better than you sound, Emily. I'll just say that.
Thank you.
What was I saying? Oh, the news. They say that it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. So I think whenever we get to a good point for that, I'll go ahead and I'll give his information here, but I'll use his news, which is basically what he does here every week from his digital collective website, and then I'll ask him afterwards. I don't think he's going to mind terribly. So, and if he minds terribly, then I'll cut it out of the recording, and I would be very surprised if that was the case. Anyway,
Yeah, Devin.
Brendan, go for it.
Oh, no, I was saying bye, Devin. He's said he has to go on.
Oh, you got to get out of here, Devin. He's running out of light. All right, man. So, was there anything that you wanted to address, Ray, before I go over to Emily?
Well, okay, because I'm just building my first site, my questions are basic. I have seen other professionals in other fields use on their website. I think it's called a carousel, where they have like a photo montage or different screens that slide across.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if I mean I don't see them everywhere, and I'm wondering what are the upsides and what are the downsides. And if you need me to show you an example, I can show you the site that I'm
No,
looking
we
at.
get. I mean, you're talking
Yeah,
about a slideshow of some sort.
yeah.
There's some that are built into WordPress by default. A lot of us, I mean, the WordPress is currently using the blocks model, and there are some default blocks. I would say many of us expand those blocks with various plugins. Pardon me. And that's something I should probably cover. When vetting products for WordPress. For one thing, you should make a note of the codex. The codex is kind of the Bible for all things WordPress. It's the URL is codex dot. Here, I'll put it in the chat. So you go to the codex. There we go. And the codex has got all kinds of information there, including.
To see the third slide. So that's one reason. They're not really that good for accessibility, which is increasingly something you need to consider for users that are differently abled, that are not able to navigate the site properly. And it's also just some users just find them annoying. That's another thing.
Speaking
Yeah.
of users finding things annoying, I'm a Zoom user who's not really thrilled with that happening. Sorry, guys. I have no clue what just happened. I just suddenly looked up and you guys were gone while I was trying to
Yeah.
get Mike's stuff up. But this is why we have great people like Brendan who can just step in without a thought and smoothly wait for me to come back.
Yeah.
So
And
first of
and
all,
also the
what
other
did I
thing I'll
miss?
say on that really quick is,
We were talking about sliders, whether to use them or not use them. That was my question. Go ahead, Brendan.
yeah, and the other thing I'll say is that um, I often will get clients that will come to me and they'll say, I have like 8 different messages that I want to have in the opening hero section of my website. And my thinking is, if you have 8 different things you want to say at the very beginning of your website, you have already lost your opening message. If you can't narrow it down to one important thing, then the people visiting your website are going to be confused, and are not there. The hierarchy is already confusing for the messaging. You need to decide what is the most important thing, and that is going to be the opening thing that they need to read. And the other things, yes, they might be important, but they can go below that. And so you need to decide on your hierarchy of content and your messaging. So yeah, there's some reasons right there.
Couldn't agree
Okay,
more. I mean, if you look back
thank
at
you.
the internet of, say, 10 years ago, every website that you came to, it entertained you with some amazing flash-based or shockwave or something, a audio-visual presentation where you literally had no choice but to sit through it, and those days are long gone. We are
People
dealing.
click away. They
Yeah,
just click
well,
away.
we are dealing. Well, that's the thing. They captured you back then, and that's the
Mhm.
thing. I mean, one of the most important. Somebody was talking about SEO. One of the important terms is bounce rate. Which simply means how many people come to your homepage and don't go any further, or don't engage with it in any significant way. And no better way to have a really high bounce rate than to tell people you will sit here and watch my self-indulgent animation of this, that, or the other, or I will show you, a slideshow that's better suited to the boardroom than it is
Yeah.
to a website where you want to capture my attention in like 3 or 4 seconds, which makes your choice of photography, if you have the wherewithal, the resources to hire custom photography, that's always the best because you can come up with all the conceptual ideas first and then have a really good photographer who can help you come up with that one hero image that immediately identifies what you're about when you get there. And the thing is, we've got some really fine products, plug-in based, that allow you to create and WordPress itself allows you to create, text on an image, things like that. I'm still using my Revolution. I have one slide of my Revolution slider left, which has some animation on there just because, well, whatever. I like it. And I try to keep it brief. It just basically things fly on and give you the opportunity to click on some important links that take you to calls to action. They're actually calls to action on that image, you know, because that's what it's all about, the call to action. We want to motivate. You'll always have two audiences, well, several dichotomies. First dichotomy is you've got human visitors and you've got bot visitors. You've got electronic visitors that are being sent out by primarily Google, because let's face it, at this point in time, Google has 90% of the search traffic on planet Earth, good, bad, or indifferent. And I imagine I haven't seen the stats since some of the AIs have come on. I'm sure OpenAI is taking some of that, but by and large, Google is the name of the game, and they send out these little bot visitors that go out and index the web and see what's what, and they determine that your rank on Google. So you've got the bot visitors, but you also have the human visitors. You can't just please, from an SEO standpoint, the and this was always true. You can never have a website whose SEO appeal is so strong that you forget the human visitor. That's who you're trying to get to pay attention. And then the other dichotomy is you've got people who are either ready for what you have right now or are doing some window shopping for a little further down the road, 90 days, 6 months, 5 years, whatever it is. And our job is that our website captures those people not ready to buy and puts them in some sort of a funnel, and we stay in touch. you know, Getting that email address is so important. But anyway, before I go too far afield, does that answer your question, Ray?
I've got some new ways to think about the advantages or disadvantages of using a slider, and actually, I've got some hints about, I
And,
guess,
and
where I can
always
go
one
next.
thing, keep it simple. Keep it as simple. It's very, especially in the WordPress world, where you can go full on WYSIWYG, which is an acronym standing for what you see is what you get, and do all kinds of bells and whistles and neat stuff. And at the end of the day, all that stuff is great, but it's nothing like a 1 second, I got it. You know, the great marketers, they will use remarkably, look at the Nike swoosh. All Nike has to do now, since they've had years of embedding that thing in our heads, is just put it up, and we're thinking Nike, and we're thinking everything that they have led us to attribute with Nike. So keeping it simple is very important. And the thing is that it has actual advantages in terms that if you get too complicated, and this is where you want to make sure you vet your products really well. If you go, I was starting to tell you guys about the codex, I think, when I got booted unceremoniously. You'll see that, we live in a 5-star world, so I don't like to use anything less than 4 stars, period. Whether it's a theme, whether it's a plugin. Sometimes I'll use a 3, but there better really be a damn good reason. As in, maybe it's like a really niche product, and nobody's making drone war plugins that specifically offer functionality for that particular element of society. Real estate used to be like that. We didn't have a lot of choices with real estate themes, so we had to sometimes go, it sucks, but I guess I'll use it, rather than, you know, build from scratch. But if you could, you know, KISS, keep it simple, Sanchez. I'm Sanchez. If you can go by that, you will have the price of your admission to this webinar. And what else were you starting to say?
The other, I mean, if Emily wants to ask a question now, I think that's fine. But if we have any time, I'd like to know if people are using any tools to make the site bilingual, and if so, what tools are recommended.
Gotcha. Did you want to answer that, Brendan? What do you like to use for translations?
Polylang or WPML. Those are the two big ones.
Let's see here. We can.
And Emily, yeah, I'm happy to chat about what you're doing with Claude.
Yeah, I really just want to say, like, I really appreciate the call and be able to listen in and just kind of be in the space, and it really just promotes this culture of I don't know. I just really like work culture that exists outside of our traditional ecosystems, and so I appreciate y'all being here. What I've been doing lately with Claude, I was on ChatGPT about a year ago, and ever since I've gotten myself and my clients onto Claude, just because it has all the features of Claude design and it seems to be pushing itself forward a little bit faster. I have done some plugin development in the past, and so using Claude Code until lately with the data leak was very helpful for building products faster. And then I could go through an audit and fix things up or adjust features and stuff like that. But it's just a tool for helping me do things faster. Like as of late, I've been working on branding, and we spoke here a little bit about branding, and it's really great to hear because most of the services I've been offering and products I've been creating are in response to questions people are asking me, and I haven't been thinking about that branding element very much. And so having like Claude as a little bit of a tutor to support me in asking questions about like what's your brand about, who are you going to serve, and what's really important to you. It's able to like ask me questions I didn't think to ask, and so that's what I've been doing lately with it.
Yeah, it's I have now gotten to the point where, according to ChatGPT, I'm one of the top 3% ChatGPT users, and I've stuck primarily with ChatGPT because my job is to help clients, and it is still the most ubiquitous. Claude's coming on strong. There's a lot of them that do other things and have, you can have a real soup of AI tools. And this one does this best, this one does this best, the whole jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing. But so for one thing that's done for me is it's really helped, as far as SEO, we want to make sure that we're present on the AI platforms. And I've done so much work in that platform having to do with everything. I mean, from planning my business, from planning my social posts, from putting together content for clients. I do some personal medical stuff on there that's been really handy. I'm ADD, and probably nobody's surprised to hear that. So having a strong tool, whatever you settle on, to help you organize and put together, flow workflows and checklists and anything that'll help me to follow through and know what my path is going to be. So, like you're saying with Claude or with anything else, you can go to it as long as if you get really good at prompting, you're good on any platform. You just have to kind of follow a bit of a logical procedure. I will tend to start with, okay, this is my end goal. So can you give me some of the major steps that I need to achieve in order to get there? And then I can cull that down or, winnow that down to steps and checklists and what have you. And, they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and the AIs are really good about helping put together processes. Now, remember, it's a precocious toddler. It's really smart. Sometimes it's too smart. I actually have a master prompt where I tell it, and I put this in because whatever AI you're working with, you're training it. You're training it to be not only in, hang on a second here. Let me just get to where's my master prompt? There are some things that we need to be aware of with AI, some of its picadillos, some of its weak points, some of its tendencies that we don't really care for. So it's going to sound a little goofy, but my page, and it's roughly about 3 or 4 paragraphs, but it starts with basically truth because the internet is not a truth device inherently. But I think as AI is growing, it's like any child. We can either let it be influenced by the Overton window, or we can step in and say this is the way we want to do things. So I have an AI prompt that I keep on my desktop as a text file, and every once in a while, especially when I'm starting a particularly mission critical chat, and I would say this probably applies to whatever AI floats your boat. This first section is about truth. Speak and provide only truth. No AI hallucination. because sometimes AI goes off, and I'm imagining this is going to get better rather than worse. We'll see. But no AI hallucination. I demand that it not give me political bias. I don't want any of that crap. And, I tell it, I'm a centrist. All other views are biases, you know, and I don't want to be looking at something that's just provided because some programmer put it in. I also put in never DEI, never critical race theory, because those are ways of kind of altering truth. Never sycophancy, because AI does have a tendency to sometimes, how shall we put it, blow smoke up my ass. And it'll sit there and it'll spend a lot of time on telling me how great I am, and give me a full court Jiminy Cricket sort of thing. And I also say never reward hacking. That's another way that we can get less than an ideal. I'm going for a neutral, truly neutral responses. And some other things. I don't know if this will go through it. Let me just put it in the
You
chat.
mentioned Claude Design, Emily. I just posted a link. I don't know if it's useful. I found an open source Claude Design alternative that I've been using that's super useful without
What's
the
it called?
annoying usage limits. It's called
Thank
Open
you.
Design.
It's called what again?
Open Design,
Open design.
and it's just an open source Claude Design alternative that lets you circumvent all the annoying usage limits. You can use Claude Code, you can use Gemini, you can use Codex, you can bring your own key. But yeah, super nice.
Thank
Some of
you.
you old schoolers might be amused by the last section where I actually put Isaac Asimov's three laws of robotics. Because again, one of the things that keeps people away from AI is the idea that, Skynet's going to come online and kill us all, or, we're going to live in a matrix dystopian world. So every once in a while, I remind AI, please don't kill the human race, and things like that. And this just takes a second. I just copy and paste this in to a chat. It's already done. It's by and large says everything that I think I need to. And it's been useful because every once in a while my chat refers to it. Says, "Don't worry, Ed. I'm not going to give you any of yacht. And I highly recommend that each one of you puts something like this together if you're using AI for any content that may be, susceptible to any of these things, which I do. Where are we with you, Emily? Are we answering any questions for you? Or are we?
Yeah, this is really helpful. I'm excited to check out Open Design, and having a system prompt is really great. For Yeah, I really haven't put together a complete system prompt yet because I'm still figuring out like how can I best use the AI in my business, but I like hearing about what you're thinking about when building your system prompt and being like, how is that going to inform kind of what I'm thinking about? So really appreciate it.
Yeah, I would say, being neutral and being a centrist is really important to me. I mean, I've put a lot of effort in going from someone who was okay with BS, to really putting a lot more value in truth. Not truth according to Edward, but truth in a more objective sense. So I would encourage everybody to put together your master prompt, and that's going to be based on your values.
Have you guys been getting into any of the AI agents at all? Like, have you guys been checking out OpenClaw or Hermes Agent or anything like that?
I myself haven't. I've really just I've and blame the ADD. but I do really try to keep it simple, and
And
I wanted to reach a point of expertise where I felt confident and competent in helping other people. I find that there's the same reason why I've always focused on guitar playing as a musician instead of learning piano and learning this and learning that, and you end up being kind of at all of them. Whereas I'm a pretty decent guitar player by putting that focus. But that's the way my brain and my values work, you know. And this is why I spend time in these groups, because we do have people who are much more adventurous who end up being able to, you know, give me a heads up on really cool platforms. And remember, the chat is still going on there, so put your stuff in there.
just leave some links.
And we are coming up on the end of the meeting. Typically is 7:30, but we'll two things. One, I try not to be a clock watcher per se, but I also do try to keep these recordings manageable. And 90 minutes or less is handleable for most. But I also keep the meeting room open after I end the recording, so we can go a little bit more informal. So if you want to complain about Trump or your favorite, you know, thing to complain about, we can talk in a more casual, less worrisome way. Some of the best conversations in this group have taken place in the parking lot, and we've had some doozies. We had one meeting. We had one meeting. What was it? 3 months ago. I turned off the recording at 7:30, and people hung out till 10:30. So you never know what's going to happen once the recorder's not paying attention. Oh, and the AI companion stops paying attention also. So
I I do have a question I want to float out about. I have not been using AI agents. I've been using projects in Claude so I can give little projects memories of what I'm going to be talking to them about so they can have some context. Like Edward said, you can fill it with context, fill it with different prompts per like projects I'm working on. But I'm curious, Brendan, with your experience with AI agents, how does that differ from, what I'm doing is chatting mostly. Um, yeah.
Are you a heavy Claude Code user, or are you mostly using the Claude desktop app, or kind
I'm
of
using
both?
Claude.
Or
I'm using Claude Code a lot, so it'll like fill out files for me, and then we'll review them together.
and like in Claude Code, how are you using that? Are you using it like within VS Code, or are you just in a terminal, or
Yeah, I do all my projects on local by Flywheel, and I have my VS Code open, so I can kind of side by side see what I'm doing.
yeah. And so you've noticed, like, every chat you open within VS Code, when you reopen it, it's like a brand new chat, right? So it doesn't have that memory again.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing I'll say, like the easy one is when you resume a VS Code Claude Code chat, there's a slash resume command. So you can do slash resume, and then you can pull up the last chat you had with it. So that's like an easy one to get back to your last chat if you want to get back to it. So a lot of people are kind of afraid to reuse the same chat because they think it's like, oh, I'm gonna, I'm reusing the same chat. It's like the context is filling up. I'm not afraid of that. Don't be afraid to reuse the same chat because it'll have the same memory. Um, when you get to, a stopping point, ask the Claude Code agent to just write it to an agents.md file in your VS Code. That's something you can do. Um, and then in terms of AI agents, the whole thing with Hermes, which is a pretty new thing that's only a couple weeks old. It's like a self-learning AI agent. So like every chat you have with it is stored in its memory. And when you have like multiple chats on the same topic, it'll auto save to a skill or a memory file. And it basically just continuously is rebuilding its memory on its own chats with you. which is exactly what you want, right? I mean, it's like it's continuously rebuilding its memory and context about you. Um, so that's kind of the concept there. That's one of the reasons why people are really liking it. And it's like if you've heard of OpenClaw, that's one of the downsides of something like that is that all the chats you have with it are have no context of the other chats. The other,
There is kind of a workaround, if I may jump in on that,
Mhm.
because I've had some long ass chats, that where and this stems from the fact that when I first noticed a performance issue, because you got to remember that the ChatGPT on whatever device, whatever connection you're on, whatever, is reviewing that particular chat. As the chat gets longer and longer and longer and longer, that can actually really, because it has to go back and look at everything you've done. So, like, I'll give a simple one where I keep track of some medical stats, and when I do start noticing that performance issue, and I'm up to, like, I'll just rename the next one the same thing but volume. You know, I always use 4 digits, so I'm up to 0011. I've got 0012 actually. So I've got 12 chats on basically the same concept and doing the same thing. But when it's time to move on to another one, I will ask ChatGPT to give me a summary for exactly the purpose of starting a new chat of all the cogent information that we don't want to lose for the next one. Now, you always have the ability to go back to the previous one and other ideas that we've heard suggested here, but it can be, and I've done this on clients' projects, and by and large have been pretty satisfied with the results. You know, it'll put together a summary, and I just copy and paste that, start a new chat, put that in, and sail on as if nothing was interrupted. And I've had pretty good luck with that. So there's an idea.
and that's that I don't know, and I honestly haven't used ChatGPT in a while. Claude's context window is 1 million tokens, so that's the equivalent of say, like 8 full-length novels. So it's massive. I mean, you're just never gonna run out. So
And with Claude, are you buying tokens?
no,
Uh,
I don't.
okay.
I have it. Well, I don't know what Emily's doing. I have a Claude subscription, so I mean, it's like 3,000 pages of text that you
So
have in your
what does a
context.
what does a token refer to?
Well, it's the context window is 1 million tokens in one chat. So, I mean, I don't know. I pay $100 a month for a Claude code subscription.
Yeah, I'm on the $100 a month plan too with Claude, and it feels kind of expensive, and so that's why I I I had a client project that was able to fund it, and so I had it for a while, and I was like, I really have to stick with this thing. The tokens are like little clumps of words or like little clusters of letters that it uses to interpret things because the AI doesn't really think in words like we do. We think of like language fundamentally, whereas the AI is a little bit of predictive engine. So the tokens are kind of like words, but it could be like 2 words, it could be half a word. So like it it's a variable what a token is, but it's approximately that length, and it's how the AI thinks.
So with that one, you don't encounter performance issues as a, do we call it a token or a chat? As they get, I guess the tokens is the amount of what.
Yeah, like like dog could be a token or a dog could be a token. Like it just kind of thinks in these kind of different associative terms. And so yeah, it's just basically I like to interpret tokens as words because it could be 2 words, it could be half a word, and so approximately words.
Interesting.
Um yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a sentence, a short sentence might be 12 to 15 tokens or something like that. It kind of varies. And it's all about like the order of the words and the length of the words. And yeah, it really depends on how it interprets it. And It's a black box. We don't really know. And you're right. I mean, the $100 a month, it did felt expensive to me, and it is, it is if you're not doing client work. But if you're using it every day for client work, it pays for itself for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so there were days where I wasn't using it, but now I use it every day now, so it certainly pays for itself. I would love to see, I was on the $20 a month plan for a while. And there are ways um, to kind of trick it, not trick it, but like, use it smartly and not get those usage limits quite as
What
rapidly to hit
prompted
those.
your upgrade?
I was just hitting the 5 hour limits just so fast. You would
Uh-huh.
upload something to it, and you'd hit the 45% 5 hour limit instantly. Yeah, and it was just so annoying. And there's ways to do it. You can work in the terminal more, so you're not asking Claude to do as much of the work for you. And if you're a smart developer, you can kind of get around it, or if you're only kind of using it for hobby work, you probably get around it. But I would love to see like a $50 a month plan. But and they
Yeah,
might do that because
that is quite a jump.
it is, yeah. They did just announce some partnership with SpaceX where they doubled their compute capacity. So they could, I could see them offering some kind of mid-tier plan in the future, but who knows? They have so many people in
Before
their
they put
grip.
their servers on the moon, you mean?
I don't think they will at this point. They gave up they sold their entire whatever that server farm they had for SpaceX. They sold the entire compute capacity to Anthropic.
Oh, I thought he gave up on Mars and he was focusing on the moon.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I
Okay.
think he's sort of given up on, yeah, using it for XAI or Grok and just sold it to Anthropic.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are 1 minute over the formal endpoint for this meeting. Do we have a reason to push that any further?
I don't. I'll probably hop off. I really appreciate y'all being here, and the discussion was awesome. Very enlivening. I'm excited for next month. I'll put it on the calendar.
Thanks for coming.
Let me just wrap things up really quick.
Yeah.
That has been our May meeting. I want to thank Emily for being or coming back. And I hope you feel better. Brendan, as always, it's great to see you. And I'll
Here.
keep the meeting room open a little bit. I hope you go and RSVP for next month. Let's hope for a little bit more participation. Please, I encourage you. We really need to build the numbers on this, and this is my bad on this meeting. So if you attend any other meetups in our realm of interest,
If I could
which is
just say something
WordPress,
really quick,
yeah,
actually,
go for it.
just before Emily leaves. Emily, I don't know if you're in San Diego.
I'm in Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Okay, I was going to say because we do have a local San Diego meetup that meets in person. But
Yeah.
anyway, never mind.
Oh, which one have you been going to?
It used to be called the Advanced WordPress Meetup, and it's now hosted by Devin Walker, who works at Automatic, and he started that up
And
a couple
he's
months
here in
back.
San Diego?
He's here in San Diego, yeah, and
Oh.
that's been going on for a couple
Can you
months
put
now.
any details on? And I'm just punching in the thing to remind folks to save the chat. But do
But
you have
I
details
yeah,
readily available?
I'll post it in the chat. But I encourage you, Emily, if the go find one in your local city. I'm sure that there's. I mean, I hope that there's local meetups in person because in-person meetups are great.
Oh, hell, fly down.
Yeah,
We have a nice town here.
for
Yeah,
sure. I know Devin from Give WP.
yeah.
And he was working with the what's the conglomerate that owns LearnDash and the other one, Stellar.
Stellar,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He left them and now is back at Automatic. He's leading Jetpack.
nice.
So he's loving that, and he's now hosting an in-person meetup in San Diego. So yeah,
Where do you
it's
guys
been
meet
awesome.
and how often?
Uh, well, it's once a month, and it's at the Ansar Ansier. co-working, and it's in Convoy.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to know about that.
Yeah,
Cool.
you should come. I mean, there's honestly like there's about a dozen people every time, so it's
Yeah.
been good.
Well, I'm always looking for people to present on various products or concepts in our space, and also small business space. We have problems that are outside of just the purely WordPress technical, and looking for people who can present in that regard, but also looking for people that can need problems answered. You know, so yeah, don't make us a secret. Put us in your social. Like what do they say? Like, subscribe,
Subscribe.
and live long and prosper. All right, so let me turn this sucker off.